like China, and I like President Xi a lot.
This is the US president in September last year.
I think he's a friend of mine. He may not be a friend of mine anymore, but I think he probably respects. From what I hear, if you look at Mr. Pillsbury, the leading authority on China, he was saying that China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
Besides talking about his very, very large brain, he's also talking up a fresh round of tariffs he just imposed on Chinese goods, valued up to $300 billion. He said China's President Xi Jinping is a friend of his. But a year of tit-for-tat tariffs in an escalating trade war means the year ended more in acrimony than friendship. Donald Trump's unorthodox style has upended years of consistent policy towards Beijing, one of rivalry but not necessarily antagonistic. Now, in the midst of an escalating trade standoff and mounting tensions over intellectual property theft, the two appear more adversaries than rivals. Donald Trump has made it no secret that he's fed up with what he perceives to be China's unfair trade practices.
China has taken out hundreds of billions of dollars a year from the United States. And I explained to President Xi, we can't do that anymore. We just can't do that anymore.
The battle over trade has rattled global markets and ushered in 2019 with uncertainty over how the impasse might be solved.
It would be a great thing. We'll be discussing trade, and I think at some point we are going to end up doing something which is great for China and great for the United States.
Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to a temporary reprieve in December, but the deal is fragile. Even if it holds, a final agreement to end the trade deadlock is still a while off. And unless a deal is made by March 1st, the US's 10% tariff on $280 billion worth of Chinese goods will rise to 25%, ushering in even more global economic uncertainty. At the heart of the dispute are some of China's more controversial trade practices. For one, China requires foreign companies to hand over their most prized technology to do business in China. And Beijing stands accused of widespread intellectual property theft, giving its businesses an advantage. That's been another flashpoint that looks likely to rear its head again in 2019. Just last month, the US indicted 2 Chinese hackers over allegations they stole vital trade secrets, as well as information from US government agencies like NASA and the Navy.
And no country poses a broader, more severe, long-term threat to our nation's economy and cyber infrastructure than China. China's goal, simply put, is to replace the US as the world's leading superpower, and they're using illegal methods to get there.
Now, it's also no secret the US president isn't exactly a fan of America's overseas military operations. He's pulled back from traditional alliances and expressed a desire for a more America-first foreign policy. That's left partners in Asia like South Korea and Japan nervous at China's growing expansionism. In 2018, Beijing continued to assert itself in the disputed South China Sea. The US has maintained its right to conduct freedom of navigation through the contested waters. But at a time of heightened tension between the two countries, the risk of a miscalculation increases. For now, trade remains the key sticking point between the US and China. But while trade may appear to be at the heart of the tensions, at stake here is something far bigger. Beijing and Washington are locked in a growing battle for global economic and political supremacy. The stakes are high, and neither side will want to concede any ground in 2019.
Because China and others have targeted, China had others, remember this, have targeted our farmers. Not good, not nice. And you know what?
Donald Trump has thrown out the rulebook on international diplomacy, and he won't back down on his pledge to level the playing field with China when it comes to trade. How China's strongman president responds to Trump's unorthodox methods will be pivotal in determining how 2019 plays out for the world's two biggest superpowers.